Thanks for joining us. Today's Elko Live here on KELK features our Elko County Commissioner Delmo Andriozzi in advance of this afternoon's regular meeting. Commissioners meet at 1:30 today, but there is a fire district meeting that they're kind of tossing in on top of that one, the fire board, and that meeting is going to be at 1:15, so we're going to make sure we get you out of here on time.
All right.
Yes.
How are you today?
Great.
It's great to be here.
Fantastic.
As usual.
Well, as usual, it is fantastic to have you on the radio and talking about, this is kind of a jam-packed agenda, so we probably ought to get started.
Sure. There's a few things on there.
Yes. So commissioners will, first of all, have a presentation, which is a non-action item, but it's always nice to hear what Sheldon Mudd is up to. He's director of the Northeastern Nevada Regional Development Authority.
Yeah, you've seen we've had some presentations lately, and I think it's that was something I'd asked for because I think it's sharing information. Otherwise, you're left to imagine what people are doing, right? So I think it's really good to just kind of check in with each other. Last meeting we had a presentation by the UNR Cooperative Extension and Jill Tingey, and trying to understand better how we can utilize each other's resources and work together and collaborate. And Sheldon, he's been around in that position for a long time, and it's been I'm not on that board, so I think it's timely for an update from NNRDA and see what's happening there, and it's just good to touch base.
And then up next, another presentation, which is non-action. And I did see Ashley Perkins. She's the principal for the Elko Institute for Academic Achievement, Elko's first charter school. She presented to the City Council a lot of soaring statistics, really good news coming out of the charter school. And she'll give a presentation. It's kind of juxtaposed and a little bittersweet because Elko County Public Schools, the school district's struggling, K through 12.
Yeah, and I don't have any attachments on her presentation, so I don't know exactly what she's going to go over, but sounds like maybe you had a preview. I suspect it's probably going to be the a repeat, if you will, of what she did for City of Elko Council, and yeah, for sure the school district. I'm watching that from the sidelines, and I've been through a couple of budget crunches myself, and they're never any fun, and I just hope that they can get through this. There's a lot of challenges out there, some that I'm aware of, many I'm probably not aware of, Lori, but I did get to hear, I thought you had a great discussion with the Superintendent Anderson. It's been a couple of weeks ago. I thought there was a lot of information that came out during that conversation, and I thought the superintendent did a good job kind of talking about that. And I think, whenever you're talking about these kinds of things, there always can be impacts, and you worry about those impacts. It's not fun. I feel bad that they're going through this situation, and I really hope that they can find a good resolution, and certainly find something that's a long-term situation for them, because it's really kind of sad to see them in this shape. And they're not the only school district, right? I believe there's a total of 7 school districts out of the 17 that are having some challenges. And I'm not an expert on their revenues. I know them loosely, so I can't even dive into the specifics, other than I know that they have some challenges. And
it is a good place to mention that on Monday, March 9th, 4 p.m., there will be a meeting of the Elko County School District Capital Projects Oversight Panel. You are not on that panel.
No, yes. I'm not. But this is all part of that AB 519 piece that created an oversight committee. And so that capital improvement project will come to the commission for approval and setting the tax rate, like we did set the 20-cent tax rate last year. So
yeah, and I think it should be reassuring to the public that not only are the trustee meetings scrutinized right now, but there's a lot of scrutiny, by the county, certainly, teacher groups, other parent organizations, a lot of involvement and a lot of oversight. And I think that should quell some of the conversation, that suggests that maybe the money's been mishandled, because there's absolutely no evidence of anything like that. This is simply the budget crisis that we're all in.
Yeah, it's interesting, and you've seen it. You've been there with us through, when I was with the city, the bulk revenues come from sales tax revenue, big piece of county government sales tax, and then we got the all risk fire. I mean, there was a lot of things.
Yes.
So I have been through the trenches in terms of revenue shortfalls. So with this particular thing, I know that there's a lot of changes around that. Pupil centered funding and pay as you go, that was kind of some of that fallout, and I think that has something to do with this. But suffice it to say, I said earlier that I don't fully understand. I'm not in that, and that's not my lane to be concerned with. But I can tell you this, that it doesn't matter what government entity you're dealing with. The finances are highly complex. They're very complex to really understand and know, and how they impact you and how they come in. The bottom line is we have to have a balance. All government has to have a balanced budget. So that's the bottom line. You have revenues, you can't overspend your revenues. So that's just the reality of it is. But it is super complicated, and I think the challenging thing is being able to explain that. People who are in elected positions probably don't understand it entirely, right? Let alone, extrapolate that out to the broader citizens, and it's a challenge to understand. So there, can be some misunderstandings or misperceptions, whatever you want to call it. It's out there. So it's certainly a challenge, and my hope is that they can get through this, and that we can get back on the road of healing, because that certainly creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of concern for a lot of people.
Elko County Commissioner Delmo Andriozzi is our guest in advance of the regular County Commission meeting, the fire district meeting. That'll be at 1:15, and we'll back into that agenda a bit. We're going to kind of get through this agenda for today, and just so we make sure we can cover the topics. Elko County Natural Resources and the fine work that Curtis Moore does, the Assistant County Manager, Natural Resources Manager, does on behalf of the county. That's going to be showcased. There'll be a presentation on the Nevada Division of Water Resources. Water is the topic for the future. Yes.
It always is.
Yes.
For sure. Remember, I'm not the one that coined it, but they said water's for fighting, whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting.
I think it was Mark Twain. I don't know. I don't know if it was Mark Twain that said that.
Well, water is the essence of everything. I mean, it's the root of our community, the growth, industry, the whole thing. It is so important. So we do have a public hearing regarding an individual who wants to do a change of a place of use. So his water right is actually, it's in the same geographic hydrographic basin, but he's actually in White Pine. So he wants to change the place of use to Elko County, and it's really for purposes of mining exploration and dust abatement, road, just some minor stuff that's related to exploring a mine that's down there in between Elko County and White Pine Valley, or White Pine down there, somewhere south of Ruby Valley, somewhere in those hills over there. So that's what the application is before us. I've always seen water rights as a property rights issue, but there is a process to go through that because it's a change of use. So we pursuant to the law, we have to have a public hearing to take public comment on this particular item. But for me personally, I think that it's his water right, and if he wants to use it in such a way, and mining is part of, we talk about multiple use on the public lands, and this certainly fits in with that. So, and it would be a source of potentially of economic development or continued economic development. And another mine, and you know how important it is for us to have mining in Elko County because we have the impacts of the mines elsewhere but Elko County.
Yeah, and this amount, it's about 100 acre feet. So in case anyone listening interested in water, that gives you a little perspective.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a presentation, non-action, by Nevada Rangelands Resources Commission. And those are always, great to find out more about something you didn't know about.
Yeah, well, this is an interesting group. I actually stumbled across them back in January. And, some of these people I know from NACO, and I was surprised that I didn't know about this group. And so they focus on a lot of public range issues. And I would say that they're very aligned with a lot of the philosophy that Elko County has. I think it's important, again, to just how do we collaborate? How do we expand that footprint? How do we expand that expression? And all, they have some wonderful videos, Lori, that I'm happy to share with you or anybody. But just really kind of wanted to check in with these folks, and I think they're doing some really good work. And again, it's about bringing this public awareness and our commission aware to this resource that's out there.
So are they connected to, I just wanted to make sure, Conserve Nevada program, that's the trail system?
Yeah, they're not connected.
Okay, all right. Thank you for making that clear to me.
Sure.
But there is going to be a presentation on, I guess maybe an update on the Lamoille Summit Trail System, which is a pretty exciting project.
Yeah, we have a project that is already underway, and this would be similar to that project. So Curtis has been working very closely with this group. This Conserve Nevada program has a grant for the development of certain types of trails, and so he's just seeking permission to go out and solicit this. And the idea is the 10% match could be in kind, it could be could be cash. What he envisions mostly is just in kind work, and again, it's about alternatives, right? And it's that. It's that thing that we all different strokes for different folks, right? But it's about a quality of life issue. So, and he's still working with that group. And I'm so sorry, I can't remember. I'm forgetting the name of the little group that he's been working with. And I'm terribly sorry about that.
That's okay. I didn't know if it. So it's not the. Yeah.
It's not on there. This Conserve Nevada is the program that's got the grant. So I do apologize that I had a senior moment. Now I might have a senior minute there, but
that's okay as long as it doesn't stretch into a week or more. That's kind of my personal rule. So,
a great point.
Yes, Delmo Andriozzi is our guest as we're going over the agenda. Again, it's a lot, so we are kind of picking up steam a little because he's got to be downtown at 1:15. This next item could be a little bit of a sleeper, but I think it deserves some discussion because this one is about the county possibly acquiring the Lamoille Lions Club camp property. Yeah,
and let me just tell you what this is about, because certainly it would seem interesting. I think the biggest thing is that camp that's out there is a tremendous asset. And I don't know if you've seen what has been built up there, but it is phenomenal. I encourage you to go take a look at it. And so there's a history with this. So the Boy Scouts of America had that camp initially, and they weren't able to go forward. And then the Lions took on that camp, and they've been moving forward. It's a tremendous asset. So the reason why the county wants to get into this space is not so much to control that, but to make sure that we preserve that space in its use now, because I don't know how to say this kindly, but a lot of us Lions are aging out and we're getting older, and we don't know if there's another group out there that's going to step up and fill this role. So in my mind, this is just really a formality. The county owns the Grove, as an example. We own the community center in Tuscarora. We have that in Jarbidge too. So I just think this is a movement to protect that asset, and so it's just memorializing everything that we've done up to this point. And at this, it's going to be leased back to the Lions at a very discounted rate, and they're going to operate it. It's really just a basis of ownership and making sure that we have a mechanism to preserve that long term. That's really the goal.
All right. Well, you know, here's the thing. How do we trust Elko County with the Lamoille? I mean, I'm not saying present company included, but that is such a treasure. That is such a gem. There is so much stewardship. And as you said, the Lions Club has just been sort of this perfect fit to maintain this property. I'm just going to say that I have, and there are other people that were there with me, so this isn't, you can, if you want to look it up, I guess, but a former county commissioner once said that if McDonald's wanted to put a restaurant in Lamoille Canyon, they should be able to, because then they could pay for trash pickup instead of the federal government. I'm just putting that out there because how can we be sure that elected officials of the future that have any say over a property that as spectacular as this would do the wrong thing?
That's a fair concern, but there is a Forest Service lease on there, and so
Sure.
so the use is pretty tight, specific to that lease.
So that would maintain?
That lease still is in that Forest Service lease is still intact, which specifies the use of the property.
Because it does say acquire that property, so it does make it seem kind of ominous.
It's not. We would never own it because it's a Forest Service lease.
Okay.
Okay, but that's a fair question, and I could see that concern, but it is a Forest Service lease. The lease stays intact. In fact, I don't know if you recall this, but part of the concern is we were kind of getting towards the end of that lease, right? And we're talking about a big capital investment out there. So, the lease has been extended. I feel like, I feel like we're in good shape to preserve its current character and use.
And you think we'll get Lamoille Grove done too before you leave?
Well, we're chipping away at Lamoille Grove, so I don't know if you've been out there at all, but we've been using our fire district to cut down the trees that we feel that are safe to remove, and then we'll engage a contractor to move some higher risk trees, remove the higher risk trees.
Yeah.
And then to plant trees. I mean, unfortunately, it's going to probably take years before we see a good mature canopy in there. So, but yeah, I mean, that's well underway. And I did have, there is if anybody wants to participate, I think Amanda told me this morning we have like $15,000 in donations so far for trees. So,
it's fantastic.
which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we want to have an idea of. There's a couple of things that we've talked about at the staff level. Is are we certain what caused the die-off? Is it a soil condition? Should we test the soil? And then trying to pick a variety of trees that can provide a whole host of things in addition to a canopy there. So, it's just, I think we're probably more divided on whether or not we should hire a consultant to tell us how and what trees to plant. But we have a lot of resources. I mentioned you on our cooperative extension, NDF. They've all got arborist type folks, and we have professional people in the community that can help too.
Oh, that's good to know. I just wanted to back up to and make sure before we move on that F4 is discussion, consideration, possible direction to staff to engage a commercial appraiser. So this is very, very early in the process. It should not be a done deal by the end of today's meeting.
No, it will not.
Okay.
So we have to, whenever we do that, we have to go through that. We have to go through that process.
And again, it would remain under a Forest Service lease, but then the county would actually be administering the terms of that lease. Mm-hmm. It sounds like if this were to be successful down the road. Thank you for explaining that, because that was where you steered your ARPA money, your share of it.
Yeah, we did. And again, it was like, we're just trying. I can tell you at this point in time, you never know what the future brings, right? You just don't know. the intent is trying to preserve what it and have a long-term goal, because God bless those Lion folks. I mean, you can't believe the work that all volunteer work. And,
Werner Whipple's name is on that lodge.
Yes, so just a tremendous history there, and we certainly. My intention is that we would celebrate and maintain, and that's really how we've tried to set this up on a go forward basis, knowing that. In 20 years, they may not have the capacity to do it.
Sure. Thanks, Delmo. Again, just, putting that out there. I said McDonald's, but I don't want to drive up there anytime and find a Jack in the Box sign on there any more than I want to find a McDonald's sign.
I understand. I understand. Or a big box.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah,
any of it.
For
any
sure.
of it. So, okay, moving on. Adoption of a policy. Oh, this one could actually be kind of, it is big. It's a lot of work. The HOA maintain roads, primarily involving Spring Creek. This is a big policy.
Yeah, and let me tell you what this policy really is. So, a lot of these entitlement processes come up through the Planning Commission, right? And so, one of the things that the commission has pushed, and it seems reasonable to me, and it did back in 1996 as well, when the county adopted the master plan that they have, that people that utilize roads that they don't maintain, that there's some proportionate share of responsibility that they have to pay for that road. That's really what it's about. So as we've had some of these divisions of land come before the Planning Commission, there's been a reluctance for them to put that condition on that entitlement, right? So we go through this appeal process, the commission saying, hey, this is what we want to have. And so really, this is really kind of a policy to help the Planning Commission navigate, to understand, in short of having a brand new master plan or a co-workshop with the Planning Commission, or it's just a communication tool to them, and it's not just Spring Creek specific. We tried to write this loosely enough to capture that they're within the whole county. If there are road agreements out there that people are paying for, it seems, and like I said, they recognized that back in 1996 when they created the master plan for Spring Creek Lamoille master plan. There was a division that they had created out there, and they said, hey, if you develop on here, you need to pay this fee. Well, but they put it down on the individual level, and so it's really hard to enforce and really hard to make sure it gets there. So
unless it's a GID or something,
right?
Yeah. And
so what we're trying to do is put the mechanism in place at the time of development, so that doesn't. So that's really the biggest change, but it's a communication piece to the Planning Commission. It looks big, it is big, but it's really, again, to give Corey, who's our planning and zoning guy, when he puts that condition on there, to really say, hey, look, this is what the commission wants to have done.
And Spring Creek does have input on this, right?
Well, sure they do. I mean, they've had, they've expressed their concerns, and I would say it's legitimate, right? I think it's legitimate, and it's really interesting, Lori, because what I've tried to do since I've gotten here. One of my goals was trying to expand the footprint of the road department, because we had so many subdivisions we don't provide any services at all. So we've been creeping out with the infrastructure tax. We've made a lot of headway there. My ultimate goal is to have at least one paved road in all these subdivisions. There's lots and lots of subdivisions without any maintenance whatsoever. And so, just organically, because of the infrastructure tax, because of the diesel tax, there was, Spring Creek wanted a little more piece of the pie of that of those dollars to maintain it. Road projects are expensive, as you know. So, kind of what organically happened is the county has taken the steps to take over the ownership. We always accepted all of those roads for public use, but not maintenance, for 50 years in Spring Creek. So within this last year or so, we have made the move where we will take on the full responsibility of the parkways and alleviate Spring Creek from doing that. So I knew that the implementation of this idea is going to be a little clunky and take a little bit of time, and it is, but we're getting there. The county has hired 2 additional people just for that roads department and got equipment specifically for that, so that we can use our forces out there. So and there again is something that I think is the right thing. I think there might be some discussion out there. I'm not on social media. I gave it all up for Lent, but I think there's some discussion. But again, it's like there's 20,000 people, nearly 20,000 people out there that really had no help whatsoever, right? So it's just about trying to spread this as far as we can, and those roads were paved, but it's the ongoing maintenance that's been a challenge for them.
And that was an accomplishment, obviously, something that Commissioner Andriozzi he is in his final year of his final term because he is termed out by law. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because that was also something to have been achieved and that you worked on for a long time. So this next item, sorry, we're just blasting through. Carlin needs $5 million for sewer infrastructure, Delmo.
Yeah, and so this is part of that congressional spending, and I don't know the specifics of what they need. It's not surprising to me. That's an older facility that they would have out there. So they're just asking for a letter of support from Elko County, and I can't imagine that we wouldn't write a letter of support for their application.
And then they'll get in line for the congressional funding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to,
well, who knows how that funding will go,
especially now.
But at least get the application in.
But this Carlin is the gateway to the richest gold reserves in North America.
Sure,
they need to be elevated to that. So yes, if something can be done. And then this next one's also really intriguing. A letter of support for the city of Elko, federal funding through the BUILD program that might punch in the Ericart Loop Road.
And this is the same basic funding. And so, that's been on the radar for a long time. And the city of Elko, they got quite a bit more ARPA dollars than we did. And they used it to expand water infrastructure, and they were able to develop a good chunk of that road out there. This connector is it has been a really important connector probably since it's been talked about probably since 1998, I want to say. These things are expensive. There's a reason it's
called Ericart. Yeah.
Right. Well, sure.
It dates back to you in the city.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and it takes a long time. That's a lot of cash. One reason is you'd ask why Ericart, and it's really because we have 3 bridge crossings. There's 12th Street, there's 5th Street, there's Ericart. And we all know that 12th and 5th are pretty full in the morning with commute time. Well, Ericart has capacity and gives you an opportunity to disperse some of that traffic. And because a road is expensive in and of itself, but you build a bridge over a river and a couple of sets of rail tracks, it's probably not achievable in a population that's $54,000. So it's really kind of trying to get that last piece of that.
54,000 people.
54,000 people. That's a big chunk of money. But so we're hopeful. I think that this is Congressman Amadei's last year there, so he's got a little bit more. I don't know if this opportunity is going to present itself with a freshman Congress. I could be wrong. But I think our best chance to get some of this stuff is now, and that would be a great project. And again, I can't imagine that we wouldn't fully support that request.
Yeah, so it's just a letter, possible action. The project cost would be estimated at $18 million. That's today's price. We can skip over because I think that is nice to dovetail and pick up where community project funding is being considered for 2027 to Congressman Amadei. Can he get us $5 million for the jail expansion? Can he get us $5 million for the public safety facility, which we'll touch on just a little bit? The Jarbidge water plant system improvement, $60,000. These are all applications that are due by Friday to the congressman's office.
Yeah, it's a short timeline, and really, and this brings me back to Ericart. So Ericart's fully designed, right? I think it's fully designed. That's what you need. You need to have a shovel ready. You need to have a shovel ready project to really be in the pipeline there. So no pun intended. But this is some of the priorities that we have, and then you can see on there any other projects. So the one thing I'm going to ask for is, there's been a lot of talk about emergency access or secondary access to Spring Creek and Lamoille over, and we commissioned a study. It's been out there for a couple of, I don't have that data back, so short of that, we don't have a line. It's nowhere near ready to ask for funding, but I do think there is something that we could do that would help, and that would be to make Lower Lamoille Road an all-weather access road. So I'm not talking about pavement. I'm just talking about a sufficient enough amount of gravel and maybe some mag chloride on top of it. Make sure the drainage is all good. So that's one I'm going to add because I think that would be a pretty easy ask. And then in the case of an emergency, if people can't get, I'm not saying it's convenient, but it is a way out. It's a way in if you need it. I think from the turnoff at the Lamoille Crossroads, where the church is about 20 miles of dirt road out to the Star Valley Road.
Yeah, so that would be, as you said, at least something that would get us through maybe to the next big project. Well, and let's see, of all the items left, again, we got through, again, there are several items, the weighty. I did want to make sure, under Elko County Facilities, Commissioner, you are going to recuse yourself from the discussion, but it is an important consideration because we know the fire district and ambulance service has really needed a building. They need a professional space. They need to house their equipment. There is a consideration on the agenda, but it's not something you're going to be able to participate in
that's
for
right.
Professional reasons.
Yeah, thanks, Laurie. I am currently a licensed realtor. I have been for the last 6 or 7 years. And so if this building were sold to the county, I do stand to make a little bit of a commission. So, I don't want to have any involvement in the conversation or any involvement in the vote, which is required by law. I have to declare a conflict and then abstain from the vote and recuse myself from any discussion.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. I'm sure the community appreciates knowing that, but then again, that there's a possibility on the horizon. This is an existing building on Manzanita Lane, and there'll be a discussion on this afternoon's County Commission meeting. The agenda, the possible action item is for an architect's proposal to see about converting the space into fire administration offices, the Emergency Operations Center, EMS sleep rooms and support spaces such as a kitchen and restrooms, and then a 4-bay apparatus addition. That would be in addition to the existing building for the fleet, for maintenance, ambulance, and fire apparatus. So pretty exciting prospect. But you'll be bowing out. Thank you.
Yes, I will. Well, it's the right thing to do. Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's the right thing to do.
Well, of all the things maybe we didn't get to talk about, Delmo, before we send you downtown, I want to make sure you get to close our program today.
I think we did. I think we covered quite a little
fast.
bit. We did.
Right.
You sold it to me.
Well, there you go.
Were we just in an auction?
We were just in an auction.
We were in an auction.
1:15 fire commissioners. The Board of Fire Commission meets. That's the county commission, and they'll get an update from the fire chief. Matt Peterson is so thorough, you will be entranced by whatever it is that he's presenting.
I did think of one other thing, Lori. I'm just going to mention really quickly. I've always used the radio as an opportunity to encourage people to get involved, and there's so many ways to do that. Everything from volunteering at the senior center, the animal shelter, whatever your passion is, the library. There are so many opportunities. And right now we have open seats on the commission and city council, and we've got some people that have filed for mayor and those 2 council seats, and I just want to encourage people to really think about what they can do for their communities, because it really takes us all. And it's, like I said, it's not, if you're going to do it right, you got to put some time and energy and effort in it, and you're not going to know it all, and that's okay. You just got to go in there caring. And I just want to thank the people that have filed, and look forward to this being my last year. And my seat is open, and also the other seat that's open is Travis Gerber's seat. So he has indicated that he intends on running for re-election. But I just encourage people to get involved. Get involved.
Thank you so much, Delmo. Appreciate that. There is one candidate who has filed for Delmo's seat. That is Scott Gavorski, and he is currently the chairman of the Elko County GOP, and he is a retired professor from Great Basin College, and he's been involved in several Republican activities in Elko County. But certainly there's a primary because these are partisan seats. So if anybody's interested in giving Scott Gavorski a run, then, step up and put your name in there. And we can talk more about that. I know I've got Scott Gavorski coming in on Friday. We're interviewing all the candidates who have filed so far. And if I haven't gotten to you yet and you got in there and filed, I will get to you. So I promise. Delmo,
exciting times, Lori.
It's very exciting. It's about the future of Elko. So thank you. Thank you, listeners, for joining us today.
Thank you.